Okay, right, and we're up and running again, live this morning. My name is Skalk van der Merwe. For those guys who are not familiar with me, the date of this video recording is 25/7/2022. Most of the people sitting, or many of the people sitting on this profile of mine, this Facebook profile, this is a Facebook live video that I will convert to different other social media platforms, simply know me as the guy fighting COVID and especially the mandatory vaccination in the workplaces. From word go, from day one, I opposed lockdown and later on the measures put into place that were foreign to our labour law in South Africa. It was actually in contravention to our labour law, through which mandatory vaccination were attempted by mostly big companies, but also then by a host of smaller companies that were advised incorrectly. It showed to me once again that how dangerous it can be for businesses to rely on incorrect advice that they receive from attorneys, advocates, consultants, and those of other people who actually has nothing to do with business or law, and how destructive it can be in the workplace, relating to your staffing, to your production, losing money unnecessary on implementation of policies that now we know were totally ultra vires, in other words, was outside the bounds of law, and most importantly illegal, that is going to cause you to end up with quite an amount of trouble very soon from now at CCMA, and then possibly even at Labour Court. But Skalk van der Merwe is not COVID and it's not anti-vax. Skalk van der Merwe has been coming many years. I graduated way back in 2002, worked for NPA for many years, then after that worked for the employer organizations for many years, and after that I was basically headhunted by the then CCMA and bargaining councils to preside as a part-time commissioner for them, doing arbitrations, mediations and conciliations. But I also built my own consultancy business through the years, and in doing so built up a huge network of like-minded professionals who basically deliver at this stage a one-stop shopping experience for employers. I'm not speaking to employees this morning. Okay, so I just want to give you a small rundown of the business services that are available. And please contact me on 073-437-8187. I repeat that, 073-437-8187. You can find my other number also on my website. That number is also to your availability. This number that I quoted now is my usual number, and it's also my business WhatsApp number. There are quite a few other numbers that are also available. I will list them on my social media platforms in due course, and continue doing so that you can also come into contact with me, or you can send an email just simply to skalk.slsgroup@gmail.com, and if that is a little bit too difficult for you, to the very simple address of skalk@skalkvandermerwe.com. As simple as that. Okay, so for business people, we've always had, and this is now since 2007 and building, we've always had amongst others the following services. Now this is me, as well as a host of other consultants and lawyers, doing the same thing, pretty much the same thing, and then finding, I would call it synergy within the services that we provide to business people. And there, let's go. Here's a long list, so let's go. Full compliance with the Skills Development Act. We are sitting in South Africa with all employers needing to comply to a certain extent with the Skills Development Act. It's quite complicated. It boils down to certain plans that must be implemented in your workplace, a certain allocation of funding in your workplace, reporting of your skills development. It's quite an amount of work that at this point in time it's better for you to simply outsource it to experts doing that. I've been working with experts now, some of those experts up to 8 years that have been doing these things. They know exactly what to do. I myself don't do skills development. It's not my forte, but I refer you to my colleagues doing that. Full compliance with the Employment Equity Act. Now, once again, people think that employment equity only relates to race. Unfortunately, there are very stringent laws in South Africa relating to employment equity, how many people of a certain race group or certain gender must be in your workplace, and it relates to that, and also the planning around that and the accommodation of workers around that. Also reporting back to the Department of Labour. Once again, that is available to you. Full consultation on companies who are obligated by law to comply with black empowerment. Once again, people think that businesses choose to comply with black empowerment. That is not true. If you are not an exempted business and there's a certain level for exemption, below that you don't have to comply, but above that you must comply. If you don't comply, you can actually go to prison and even get fines on your business. So those people who must comply with black empowerment, especially what is called QSE, as well as generic companies, listed companies, please come into contact with me. We do the full Monty for you, everything from consulting right through to the actual auditing by accredited auditors, so that you can have your B certificate and you can then partake in the economy. Of course, everybody aware of this, especially doing business with state mining groups and blue chip companies, will know that if you cannot show your audited B status, your audited B documents, then obviously you're not going to be able to even tender or even think about doing business with these big guys. They in turn must also comply. So it's not a case of getting away with it. You must go and rationally and in sanity and sustainability go and plan properly how you implement the B laws into your business, so that number one, you do not lose your business, and secondly, that your business remains sustainable. And therefore you need both sides, both consulting, in other words, assisting you to comply, and then secondly, totally different from that, auditors, and there are only certain auditors in South Africa, a very small number of them that are accredited to do these audits, do the B auditing after your attempts to comply, to show you on what level you are, and usually we work from there on to assist you further, to bring your level, your business level up to a certain point where you can actually then do business with mines, the state, big business, etc. Okay. Then full compliance with the BCEA, Basic Conditions of Employment Act. That's very easy. Basic Conditions of Employment Act has been with us for decades now. There are certain things, certain aspects of that legislation that needs to be in place in your workplace. If the Department of Labour visits you, they come and inspect you, and those things are not in place, it can cause trouble for you with them. So yes, we assist you with a full compliance with the BCEA. Right, then also relating to sectoral determinations of the bargaining councils, you must remember that there are 3 types of legislation relating to conditions in the workplace. The first being the mother law, the actual Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Then secondly, sectoral determinations, which are secondary legislation passed by the minister for certain sectors. And then in other sectors you have bargaining councils, where the big businesses or the big employer organizations and the big trade unions come around the table and they bargain on certain conditions, i.e. wages, hours, etc., which is then encompassed and put into what is called collective agreements, and you must then comply with those collective agreements. Once again, full advice on those. It's very intricate. Some, especially some of the bargaining council collective agreements are sometimes ludicrous. I must be honest with you, but they are bounding and binding on businesses. And therefore you need expert advice as to how to implement those into your workplace so that you do not end up with compliance orders or even arbitrations against you by the bargaining council or the trade union. Okay, then full compliance with the Labour Relations Act. That relates more to all the issues of discipline in the workplace, disciplinary inquiries, Section 189, retrenchments, poor work performance, procedures, things like that. But also then trade union business. In other words, if there's a trade union in your business, how to deal with them, what constitutes legal action by them, and lawful actions by them vis-a-vis lawful actions from your side, what you can do and what you can't do. Once again, it can cause quite an amount of trouble if that is handled and managed incorrectly. It can even close down businesses or lead to long-term strikes. So please be very careful of how you treat the provisions of the Labour Relations Act. To me, the Labour Relations Act creates a huge amount of risk to a business person for a very simple reason. It speaks of all the different unfair labour practices, all the different types of unfair dismissals, and then of course, as I said, union business. So all the things that can really cause trouble in your business and really cost you a lot of money if it's handled incorrectly. Compliance with all tax law. Now, I'm not a tax lawyer, I'm not a tax expert. There's a whole business around tax consulting and auditing, same as with B, where on the one hand you will have tax consultants, people sometimes extremely highly trained people working with me, or sometimes you will find those people actually training the other people to do the business. So you have the consulting part, which I refer to them. They will come into your business, optimize your tax, see that you do not pay too much or too little tax. If there's a compliance issue with SARS, sort that out with you, with you and SARS, to make sure everything is running smoothly, because there are certain benefits to that also. Also, to pay as little tax as possible. Remember that it is not illegal for you to optimize your tax to pay less tax, as long as it's done legally. So yes, tax consultants will assist you with that. And then of course we have auditors, independent auditors, who can do your auditing for you. If you do not have an auditor already, or for some reason you don't want to utilize the one that you're using now. We don't want to take anybody's work away, so if you already have an auditor, then we simply synergize our systems within the current flow between you and them, and just take it from where it is. Okay. Then, of course, discipline inquiries. I preside over discipline inquiries on at least a weekly basis. I've done, up to now, tallied over it's now a decade and a half, nearly 2 decades, more than 6,000 disciplinary inquiries. So yes, disciplinary inquiries. Grievance inquiries, where the employer has a grievance, we assist the employee to vent that grievance inside the workplace, so that he does not have to go to the Department of Labour and cause trouble for you there, or go to a trade union and sometimes even introduce a trade union into your workplace on the back of the grievance. So we assist workers also with the grievance inquiries, and see that their grievances are properly investigated and proper remedies being put into place with that. Then if retrenchments and Section 189 procedures are necessary, we also do that for you. I've personally facilitated now nearly 700 retrenchments during my career. There's a certain path, it's prescribed by law. In other words, Section 189, if you go and read that, 189 of the Labour Relations Act says, employer, you must do this, and then it lists all the things that you must comply with. If you don't comply with those, it becomes an unfair dismissal, which can cost you tremendously. And if your business is already struggling, it can cause your business just simply to fold if that case ends up before the CCMA or later on the Labour Court. So be very careful of that. Right, labor audits. Labor audit is simply where the Department of Labor comes on a yearly basis. They're supposed to do that on a yearly basis. Or sometimes they do operations, what they call operations. They come to your business and they audit you on all the things that I've already said. So we assist you with those audits. Sometimes it's very, very easy for you when you have a person like myself simply being a buffer, a mediator between you and the Department of Labor, assisting him, the person doing the audit, but also then assisting you and being a mediator between the two of you, so that there's no unnecessary squabbles and misunderstandings as to who must do what. And if something is not in place, I am there then to assist you and put you into a position where you actually can comply with the Department of Labor and don't end up with all kinds of compliance orders being issued against you that can even lead to criminal charges against you if you do not comply with them. Okay, union management, already spoke about that. Everything relating to unions, in anything and everything, right from Section 21 of the Labour Relations Act, when they first come to your workplace and say, knock, knock, we're here. Basically everything relating to that, negotiations, strikes, anything relating to unions. I have a very good relationship with many, if not most, of the trade unions. They understand by now that they follow the law. If they follow the law, I don't oppose them, or I don't budge against them. If they go overboard and they do strange things, then I bash them, and I simply bash them out of the workplace. So we usually have a very good understanding inside workplaces where I'm involved. Ill health, incapacity and poor work performance procedures. Of course, it speaks for itself. If you have that in your workplace, I can also preside over those and lead you and your employee to an amicable solution to that. Representation at CCMA and bargain councils. There's various ways of representing parties at the CCMA and bargain councils, as well as the Labour Court and Labour Appeals Court, which is also two of the services that I provide. If I cannot do it myself, there are various other ways and means and persons that are highly skilled and highly experienced that can do that for you. Labour Court, of course, is High Court litigation. Labour Appeals Court is also High Court, Appeals Court litigation. It can cost you tremendous amounts of work, of money, and take many years to finalize if it's done incorrectly. Therefore, you need specialists to assist you with that. Yeah, there's no use running to your estate agent or your deeds, your transfer attorney to go in and assist you in Labour Court. It's specialist work at the specialist court, and therefore please come and knock on my door. I will assist you, and I will hand it over to those colleagues of mine that are indeed specialists in the field, and you will see how smoothly your case run all the way from CCMA right up to Appeals Court, and if need be, Constitutional Court. We've had a few Constitutional Court cases through the years, which actually in the end turned in our favour. So yes, we can even assist you there. Contracts of employment, procedures and acts. Of course, you know you must have those in place. Compliance and audit in the workplace relating to health and safety. I also don't do that. There are specialists who are registered to do that. So if you have a need for an audit in your workplace and consulting in your workplace relating to workplace health and safety, please come into contact with me so that I can refer you to the correct people, the registered people, and the people who can actually do the work. Because this, unfortunately, is one of those areas that has become a hunting field for scammers and people doing the strangest things, and then you didn't comply, and a worker gets hurt in the workplace in the execution of his duties, and then the risk and the loss is on you, Mr. Employer. But you thought that it was in place, but you were actually just simply bamboozled and scammed by a person that was never supposed to even come into your workplace to come and do these audits. As I already said, tax consulting, external and internal auditing, payroll administration, very importantly, This is now a function that is usually outsourced in businesses, where they simply don't do their own payroll administration any longer. I have more than one company working with me in different geographic areas, and now after COVID, working nationally because it opened up the electronic business to a large extent. So yes, we can certainly assist you with payroll administration, anything and everything, right down to the issuing of pay slips and the payment of employees, negotiating with the banks. One of the areas that we have great success, especially when we handle big payrolls, that we go to the banks and we negotiate with them to lessen your bank fees in the payment of those monies. I don't promise anything, but at least we have the know-how of how to approach the bank and go and negotiate on those topics. Learnerships, that falls in with the Skills Development Act. Student employees, once again, it falls into that, and also with the employment tax incentive, which is, to my mind, one of the few initiatives from government that's actually working very well. And then, yeah, let's roll on. External auditing, certified financial planning. Now, here's the important thing. This clusters together. Remember that there's no use in running your business now 100% everything in place, but not having proper planning around your business. For instance, relating to key personnel, key staff, the directors, the owners, all those things. So I have the best of the best. I'm not going to even mention the man's name here, working with me for many years doing certified financial planning. Once again, registered, not just simply a person you call up on a telephone and he gives you a few pointers. A person coming to your business, doing a proper analysis and doing a proper certified plan for your business, right? He's certified. They have their own bodies to which they belong, certified. Estate and succession planning, which is extremely important in a business. Sometimes you have a tremendous business running, and then the business owner falls into illness, or he's maybe deceased, and all of a sudden, within a week, it's the end of that business because there was no estate or succession planning in the business. Wills and execution of wills, and this is not only of businesses, but this is now of persons, of people, real natural persons also. Sometimes we find that if we do analysis of businesses and businessmen, we find that their wills are totally inexecutable. In other words, it will lie perpetually at the master's office. It can never be executed because it was done wrong in the first place. But once again, that is not my forte. You will hear when the proper financial and analytical work has been done, what is still to be done, what is in place, what is not in place, and then we can work it from there. Business valuations, very important. Why do you need business valuations? Amongst others for tax purposes, and amongst others then also to see what your personal worth is vis-a-vis, for instance, succession planning and your will and testament. So sometimes people don't even know what their businesses are. I have frequently find that people think that their businesses are worth hundreds of millions of rands, and then after proper valuation is done, and this is once again by certified people, the businessman sits there with big eyes and realizes his business is not worth millions and millions and millions, but only maybe a few $100,000 because of various host of factors. So that's very important for you to know actually what the value of your business is. The opposite is also true. Sometimes you sit with what seems to be a very small, minuscule little business, but if you do a proper analysis, you realize this business has, in goodwill, for instance, millions of rands. It's worth millions of rands, which can actually lead. I've had once or twice instances where black empowerment groups bought into businesses on the back of these valuations, simply saying, well, it's surely going to give us value for our money, and therefore we are making an offer for you to a certain extent on shareholding. So please keep that into mind. Then exit strategies for businesses. We also need to face reality where businesses close or for some reason cannot perform any longer. There's various reasons why that happens. So we need to plan for that too, to see what will happen to the employees, what will happen to the directors, what will happen to the business itself, the buildings, vehicles, all those things. So we need proper exit strategies for businesses. And then also, of course, lastly, trusts and planning. Trusts, if you don't have trust businessman, a trust already, please, you will have to contact me. Once again, I don't do it. Professionals specializing in that does that for you. But you need to have your businesses and your assets put into trust so that the liability and risk is taken off that. We all know how that works, but it must be done correctly and lawfully for it to stand in a court of law if it is challenged at one point in time. Okay. Right. Then I just want to indicate to you, as I said previously, I have a tremendously big network already in place that has been built up over years. I don't use second best, I use the best. Sometimes they are a little bit costly upfront, but sometimes you will find that cost, that investment upfront, saves you millions on the long run. That is why I'm here. I'm sitting with a panel of attorneys and a panel of possible advocates, both senior counsel and junior counsel, who are on speed dial on my telephone. So if you need anything relating to that, that is also to your availability. You have the appointment, you know you can go to Skalk van der Merwe, and he will assist you one-stop shopping for the business person out there so that we can have your business running smoothly and loosening your hands as businessman to do what? Make money. I sometimes speak at conferences, and I usually speak on the issue of the most important thing in a business, and then I start off to ask people, but what is the most important thing of the business? And it's usually business people sitting there, and they will go, no, to create jobs, and this, and that, and then I stop them, and I say to them, no. Your job, Mr. Employer, your job, Mr. Businessman and woman, is singular. It's only one thing. It's to make money. You're a production unit of making money. Because the more money that you make, the faster your business will grow, the more employment you will cause, the more tax you will pay that goes into the coffers of state. And we need to speak about that too, because now, remember my video of a few days ago, self-determination taking over control of our finances from Treasury. But we need you as business person to be the production unit of revenue, of money. Therefore, I want to take your hands away from all these other things and your mind away from all these other things that's taking you away from your core business. I will handle that for you, and my colleagues will handle that for you. Okay. Thank you so much for the time spent this morning. I'm going to put this on various social media. Please feel free to contact me. You will very easily find me on skalkvandermerwe.com. There's various portals there to come into contact with me, or just simply send me a WhatsApp on my business WhatsApp 073-437-8187, 073-437-8187, and I will come back to you at the soonest to assist you in your business.